Have you ever wanted to be someone else? Trade this world for one of intergalactic warriors and superheroes, or flee into a fantasy life of fairies and warlocks? The good news is you can, for a price, and you'll have to return to the office first thing Monday morning. But for a long weekend, you can escape into the world of fandom conventions. ComicCon, DragonCon, MegaCon, and small weekend conventions are all there waiting for you.
Come to mama.
As is a community of like-minded people who share your niche interests that occasionally scare away your dates. From controversies to cult allegations to in-group jokes, references, and lore,
the lore! I have to show you the lore!
These conventions are a world of their own. Outsiders look on in shock and occasional horror as cosplayers and comic book nerds descend upon their city. Where else would you see Deadpool crossing the street hand in hand with Barbie, or a parade of stormtroopers holding down the fort being the local Waffle House? Today we're going to dive into the wacky world of conventions and explore the economic powerhouse that is fandom. Now, to address the elephant in the room, no, I am not your standard convention attendee, and there are sure to be both insiders and outsiders who watch this video. My name is Maggie, by the way. Welcome to the channel if this is your first time here. This video came about through a fascination rather than mockery. While I never took my love for fandoms offline, I belonged to the super Wholock community, and yes, I was obsessive about it, as any 14-year-old girl would be. And while my mom was right, it was a phase, it's definitely not for others. And that's okay.
It's not okay.
But as these communities grew older, no longer are they using allowances and thrifted clothes to pull together a crafty cosplay. These grown-up fans eventually discovered the use of free will and adult money, and now the cosplay and anime, comic, gaming, and novel industries are worth several $billions. Fandom conventions, for the uninitiated, are typically 2 to 5 day experiences featuring panels, photo ops with celebrities, cosplayers, performances, parades, and if you're lucky, you'll survive the vendor hall. The vendor hall is pure capitalistic joy for a fan. We spoke with an experienced convention attendee who told us that small businesses thrive here, and many fans like him set aside hundreds of dollars to spend on niche knickknacks and doodads. But the true reason for the season is community and creativity. Cosplay, or costume play, is a huge part of con life. It reportedly began back in the 1930s when Forrest J. Ackerman showed up to a convention wearing a science fiction-inspired outfit. Now, Mr. Ackerman must have time traveled from the future because cosplay would eventually become a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it took on a whole new life in Japan with the rise of anime and manga. And conventions were created as a labor of love by fans, looking for connection and entertainment. DragonCon, started in 1987, was launched by sci-fi and gaming fans who were in search of an experience that combined both interests. MomoCon was created at Georgia Tech by the university's anime club and is now home to 60,000 attendees. These ecosystems, built by small groups of people who would have been considered nerdy or weird back then, now host tens or hundreds of thousands of people every year. This rapid growth is largely due to the proliferation of anime and other related content on the internet. COVID especially was a catapult to mainstream success. During lockdowns, most people took up new hobbies and interests. Anime, sci-fi, fantasy, and gaming all allowed people to escape the drudgery of 2020 life, and streaming brought even wider audiences to these fandoms. That wasn't my journey, but it's okay. If you tried to take a more offline route in response to your alarming screen time stats, you may have learned how to sew, upcycle, or do leather work. And the convergence of these interests created a much larger pool of potential convention attendees, eager to show off their creations or meet the creators of their favorite media. And I can't downplay how important in-person experiences were for people post-COVID, especially those with newfound interests that isolated them from people back home. With lockdowns and the disintegration of community, people's algorithms became so personalized that it was often hard to find others like them in real life.
Am I not not the only one.
Conventions became a safe place for people to share their enthusiasm with others and potentially meet their special person with similar interests. And it also became a place to buy specific, custom pieces perfectly tailored to their preferences. Say you want a Sailor Moon doll wearing a ghost face. Kind of weird, but someone can probably make that for you. Our satellite convention expert informed us that cosplay creators often never make the same suit twice due to the amount of customization and creativity requested from customers. Although there is a more controversial side of cosplay that involves mass-produced fast fashion. In recent years, bootlegged or copycat items have also become a major problem in the convention and cosplaying world, as has AI. And the community has reacted very strongly against the encroachment of slop. A potential solution has emerged through blockchain technology, which gives people the ability to track production processes and verify ownership of unique pieces. Now, you may be thinking, how much money does it even cost to attend something like this? As I said earlier, this has become a multi-billion-dollar industry. First, you have to buy tickets to even get through the door. Then a hotel room, play tickets, food, and merchandise, not to mention the numerous add-ons including classes, meet and greets, panels, photo ops, and autographs. You're easily spending at least $1,000. And the people who attend these cons know that. They save or go into debt, not advised, but this is all voluntary. These conventions contain a million tiny voluntary transactions, and so for many cities, there is an allure to bringing conventions into town. It means business, but I think the economic impact is vastly overstated. DragonCon reportedly brought in $80 million to Atlanta last year, but much of that spending went back home with the vendors, or would have been spent somewhere else or saved for productive uses down the road. This is the substitution effect. Money is just getting shuffled around, and the spike in economic growth, while positive, is limited and temporary. In my opinion, the much more compelling impact of the conventions is for the creators who attend them. Imagine you're in a 15th century peasant village. Hear me out. You've got a butcher, a baker, and a candlestick maker, and then you have a guy selling Dragon Ball Z fan art. Something is not right here. The ability to have such niche, specialized jobs is the greatest privilege of modern life. The ability to survive off of them is even crazier. I don't think the field laborer or the factory floor worker in the Industrial Revolution could have dreamed of the weird shit y'all do for work. They were out here losing limbs and teeth to put food on the table, while we're out here 3D printing hats for Labubu dolls. The demon dolls are not for me.
Mommy bought boo-boos in 1 month. Go off! You're choosing this over your child.
But we can't ignore how incredible it is that humans can specialize this much and still find a big enough audience to be profitable. That's the magic of conventions. They bring together markets, producers, and consumers who would have never found each other otherwise. The internet serves much of the same purpose. Small, niche, handcrafted, authentic brands are not only surviving, but thriving thanks to our ability to reach markets beyond the radius of our hometowns. Capitalism uplifted most of the world out of poverty and made it easier to meet our basic needs, leaving income to spend on the things we want. It connected people around the world to one another, and trade became a mechanism for peace and cultural exchange. The freedom to create, trade, buy, and sell whatever you want has ushered in a new age of incredibly unique products. The convention ecosystem is an entrepreneurial one. Creators and makers are constantly innovating, taking risks, and differentiating themselves to compete in a growing marketplace, and they're winning. This creative market has opened up jobs to people who can't participate in the traditional workforce and brought meaning to their lives. And I think that's why people love it so much. There is a shared understanding and love behind every aspect of con life. And even as an outsider, I can appreciate the enthusiasm and effort people put into building a community like this. Because for many people, that connection has disappeared, and we've allowed it to happen. Maybe you don't want to dress up as an anime girl and parade around the city. Me neither, except for Halloween, but I think we can find ways to build community as ourselves. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like for me to dive into other subcultures, let me know. I've got my eyes on the Etsy witches making bank off of internet spells and dream jars. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave me a comment. I will see you all next week. Ciao!